is also known as the Paleolithic Age. It started about 2.5 million years ago, and it's characterized by the invention of tools, the development of language skills. During this time, in lesson 1, we talked about how there were different, the evolution of humanity from Australopithecines all the way to Homo sapiens sapiens. Well, during this time, the Homo sapiens sapiens developed language. The development of language occurred, which is important because it allows ideas to be shared. So it's like, hey, I know how to make this tool, and now I can tell Sydney how to make this tool, and she goes her way, and I go mine, and that knowledge spreads, and she can tell people how to do it, and that means more and more people know how to do these things. Think about how the development of fire. Think about that. How important being able to master fire. Like I go someplace and I can use my surroundings and create a fire. That's important. That is essential. Very essential for what's to come in human history as time passes in the Paleolithic Age. But fire is wildly important. What are the benefits of fire? What's important? Yeah, go ahead, Mackenzie.
Warmth.
Okay, obviously, very good. Warmth. It gets cold at night and sometimes during the day. Depending upon where you are on Earth, you must have it. Okay, so warmth, excellent. What else? Yeah, go ahead, Bella. Light. At nighttime, it will help provide you with light. Or if you go into a cave for shelter, you take the fire with you, provides you with light. Rachel?
Being able to cook your food.
Being able to cook your food. Why is that important?
So you don't starve, don't die.
Okay, it kills bacteria. What else? What else is the benefits of cooking your food? Does it taste better? Yeah, it definitely tastes better. You can also, your food will be preserved longer because you can use the fire to smoke it, and it can be preserved and keep longer. Mackenzie, what else?
So you won't have to eat it raw.
Yeah, you have to eat it raw, which is what they had been doing. For years. I've heard a theory from some physicians that's why you have spare body parts. Like you have body parts that can just be cut out and they don't do anything. Like tonsils, can you just have those cut out without any problem? Appendix, just cut it out. These are organs that it is believed humanity no longer needs because they were used once upon a time for digestion of raw food. Well, humanity has not really eaten a large amount of raw food for, 2.5 million years. And so those body parts are now evolving out. Okay? But you still have them. You're still born with them. Maybe humans another million years will be born without them. And maybe born with new organs. Who knows? I don't know. So it's just something interesting to think about. Okay? Any other benefits of food? Of fire? I'm sorry, not Belle. Michaela?
The development of newer or better tools.
Okay, you can eventually, they'll master fire to the point where they can melt metals together and create alloys. Eventually. They're not doing that in the Paleolithic Age, but it's coming. It's coming. Very good. Anybody else? Mackenzie? Signals, okay, long distance communication. Sure, that's a possibility. You guys use fire for anything? Cook s'mores. Okay. Tell me about a time. I want you to describe a time where you and other people cook s'mores. Just describe it. Tell me what was going on. Who said cook s'mores?
You put the marshmallow.
Uh-huh.
You cook it.
Uh-huh.
So it's black.
Were there other people around?
My mom. My dad.
What were they doing?
Also
Also cooking s'mores? Utilizing the fire? What happens when you guys were done cooking the s'mores?
we ate them.
You ate them and then what?
We went inside.
You went inside. Did you sit around the fire at all?
Like before we made
For a while you sat around the fire? So you're saying that fire can create a sense of community. So if you go camping, let's imagine that we're living in the Paleolithic era. and there is a fire nearby, and it's nighttime, are you going to be, as a human, are you going to gravitate away from the fire, or are you going to gravitate toward the fire? Toward it. Are you the only person that's going to be like that? Probably not. Fire creates a sense of community. Think about your own experiences camping. When there's a campfire, everybody sits around it, and you talk. Well, that's kind of helpful when you have language, and now the fire gives you opportunity. Previously, people would be just kind of huddled up by themselves, and now there's a place where they can gather, exchange ideas, communicate, and spend time with one another. That's important. So fire does a lot of things. Fire is important for a lot of reasons. Warmth, cooking your food, light, scaring animals away. You guys didn't mention that one. This is a time when there were animals. Humans have not always been the top of the food chain. Saber-toothed tiger comes along, nocturnal hunter, opportunistic. But if there's a roaring fire nearby, wild animals are fearful of fire. Domesticated animals, not so much, but wild animals are afraid of fire. Okay? So good job. So there's a lot of benefits of having fire and using fire. Okay, questions on this aspect of the Old Stone Age. All right, next. Talking about how men and women related to one another in the Old Stone Age, in the Paleolithic Age. Basically, their roles were what you would pretty much expect. Because in the Paleolithic Age, hey boss, what's up?
Just come into a service.
Come on in, have a seat.
Oh, I don't want you to have to disinfect.
Okay. All right, so in the Paleolithic Age, the roles of men and women might be pretty much what you think. What do you guys think the woman's role was in the Old Stone Age? City.
To clean.
Well, I don't know how much cleaning they need to do out here.
To cook the food and take care of the kids.
Okay, one thing, men, they can't have babies, right? Biologically. What can women do? Have babies. And so one of the responsibilities of women was to rear the children. And what about food? What kind of responsibility do women have with food? Okay, maybe food preparation. What else? Brady? Huh? They were gatherers of the food. Okay, because these are nomadic people. They're hunter, gatherer, nomadic people. They follow the food around. These structures are just temporary. They're not doing systematic agriculture yet. They're not growing their own food. They're following it around. And that's how they survive. So women are very much responsible for their survival as they are gatherers of the food. What about the men? What's the men doing? Mackenzie? Hunting. That's right. Their job is to hunt, and also when it comes to the family itself, protector. They are the protector of the family. So, when it comes to making decisions for the family, when it comes to, okay, it's time to move, or it's time to go do the hunt, or I'm going to go gather over here. Who is the decision maker?
Probably the man.
Why would you think that?
Because he protects them.
Okay. Anybody else have a guess? Good guess. Excellent.
The man's role.
You say who?
The man.
The man. Another. Somebody says man. Anybody say woman? Anybody say both? Both. In the Paleolithic Age, when it came to decision making, the men and women were equal. Why? Who could tell me why? Who could take a guess? Why do you think?
Because of like their spiritual beliefs, possibly.
Okay, you think some religion might be involved in it? That's a good guess. You're on the right track. What's the most important thing?
Their
Relationship with nature, because what does nature provide them with? Food. Who's responsible for food? Both of them. The men hunt, the women gather. They're equally responsible for their survival, and so they have an equal responsibility in the decision making. Sorry, ladies, it doesn't last long for the Paleolithic Age. However, during the Paleolithic Age, men and women were equal. Okay? Questions on that? Okay, Paleolithic Age doesn't last forever because eventually the Earth's going to get really, really cold. What age begins then? The Ice Age. That's where there's little nutty squirrels running around, right? All right, so the Great Ice Age begins. We said that the Paleolithic Age began about 2.5 million years ago. Well, it ends about 100,000 years ago when the Great Ice Age begins. Now, I don't want you to think the Great Ice Age is a time where the Earth is just this shiny little white ice ball floating around the sun, because it's not. There have been ice ages where that's happened in Earth's history, but this is not it. During this particular ice age that ended about 10,000 years ago, only the northern hemisphere was covered with ice. All right? Some projections say it goes all the way down to where we live. All right? Now, when I say covered with ice, I'm not talking like there's been an ice storm. I'm talking miles thick of ice, glacier ice. In fact, you can see remnants of those glaciers in the world today. Can anybody think of a place in the United States where there's remnants of the Ice Age? Mackenzie. Okay, that's not quite in the United States, but that's a really good guess. Alaska? Okay, can you give me some examples? Okay, I like your enthusiasm though. Good job. There's some bodies of water. They're pretty good. In fact, I would almost call them great. The Great Lakes. The Great Lakes. Has anybody ever been there? They look like the ocean if you stand on the shore. Those are melted glaciers. They formed during this time period, and as the earth warmed, they melted, and now they're the Great Lakes. Okay, so some characteristics of the Great Lakes. Extremely cold. Extremely cold. Fortunately, what did humans adapt and create during the Paleolithic Age? Fire. Mastery of fire was essential. Imagine going through a time period where there's miles of thick ice on the earth with no fire. Be bad news bears, right? So, extreme cold that existed in the northern hemisphere only. The northern hemisphere was covered with ice. Southern hemisphere, not so much. Okay? All right. Let's see. How do you think people adapted and changed during this time? Obviously, we mentioned the use of fire. What else might they have to do? Mackenzie. Say it one more time. Okay. Taking animals and utilizing them and making furs so they can wear them, keep themselves warm? Absolutely. So warmer clothing. Sydney, did you?
I was going to say
Warmer clothing? Absolutely. You guys are both right. Anybody else? Do you think they moved? Yeah, they just moved. It's only the northern hemisphere, so perhaps they went to warmer climates in the south. All right? You guys remember, did we talk about the Bering Land Bridge yet? Did we talk about how people crossed the Bering Land Bridge and they came to the... Haven't got there yet? We'll get there. We'll get there, I promise. Okay. I have so many classes I teach, I can't remember who I've done what with. All right. But yeah, the most important thing that people had to do is adapt. They had to change. They couldn't stay the same. They couldn't stay in the same place. They couldn't wear the same summertime clothes. They had to adapt based upon, and what they had to use their brains. They had to think. It wasn't instinctual. They had to use their minds. All right? It's not like, an animal is going to say, okay, I need to build a fire so I can keep warm. No, animals don't think like that. Only humans can. It was not instinctual. Now, animals definitely have instincts, and they can alter their environment to some extent, but not like human beings. Not like human beings. Okay? All right, so we got the Paleolithic Age, and then the Ice Age. All right? Now, at the end of the Ice Age, a new age begins. It's called the Neolithic, New Stone. But something happens at the end of the Ice Age which is very important for humanity. What that is that civilization emerges. Previously, they did not have civilization. So for that 2.5 million years of the Paleolithic age, there was no civilization. Didn't exist. So what is civilization? What is it? Nice and loud, Brady.
People and society.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's people with culture. People that have a complex culture. That's all it is. They didn't have a very complex culture in the Paleolithic age. I'm hungry. Let's go hunt and gather. Okay. That was pretty much it. Their entire lives revolved around survival. And everything they did, every decision they made was dedicated towards survival. Like, how am I going to stay alive today? Fortunately, we don't have to really do that as much. Like, it's possible something bad could happen to me on the way home, but I'm pretty confident that I'm going to live throughout the day. God will. Okay? So, these people did not have that assurance. And so their entire culture was based on survival. As time emerges and they improve their techniques, and the weather warms up and the ice age ends, and they're able to begin to do some more things with the earth, civilization has an opportunity to begin. All right? Now, all a civilization is a large group of people with a complex culture. Well, what's culture? What's culture?
The way people live.
Yeah, it's just very good. It's a way of life. It's the way in which people live. It can change from person to person, from place to place, from era to era. Here we are in Coal City in 2020. Do you think the culture of people in Coal City in 1820 was different? Even though we're geographically in the exact same spot? Sure. Time can change people. Lots of things can change. But culture can change. And it can change due to a variety of factors. All right. The factors that affect civilization. There are 5 characteristics of civilization. A civilization must have all 5 of these in order to be civilized, in order to have civilization. The first of the 5 characteristics of civilization is cities. Cities. And here's some photographs. This is a drone photograph of an ancient city. It's not that big. It doesn't have to be like New York to be a city. Okay? Just a group of people who are not related living together. That could be considered a city, an ancient village. Here's another depiction of a city. You see the walls. You see how it's dissected. But a city, who could give me a definition? A definition of a city. Rachel.
A group of people that aren't related that live together.
That's perfect. I love it. We're going to say large amounts of people living together in an area and engaging with each other in trade. That is what qualifies an area as a city. Is Sophia a city? You ever been to China 1? You're doing trade. There's other people around. You got city. Now, is it like New York? No. But, anywhere really in America we have civilization, okay? So large amounts of people living in one area, engaging in trade with one another. That is what qualifies an area as a city. Now, what do you think, what activity do you think the majority of people are going to do living in a city? What's their profession? What's their job going to be? There will be some trade going on, without a doubt. What kind of products? Food. Where you get food? Okay. In the Paleolithic age, I would definitely say that they're going to be hunting and gathering. But as cities begin to develop, we're in a different age. We're in the Neolithic age. And so what are people doing now? Farming. And so the majority of labor, of people living in the city, is going to be put toward agriculture. They're going to be farmers. So in order to have large-scale agriculture, what do you got to have a lot of? What natural resource?
Seeds.
Definitely. What else?
Land.
Land. What else?
Farmland.
Water. So where do you think the majority of cities are going to be located? Near water. Which type of water?
Ocean.
Not the ocean. Ocean can't use salt water. Huh?
Freshwater.
Yeah, what kind of fresh water?
Rivers.
Rivers. Almost all ancient cities are located near river valleys. Almost all. Almost all are located near river valleys. For irrigation, you can just dig a ditch from the river to your farm. And then the river, the flow of the river itself is going to bring that water to your farmland. That's why, okay? Usually located in a river valley. So, got to have cities in order to have civilization. Another thing you got to have specialized workers. Specialized workers. Who in their own words can tell me what they think a specialized worker is? Rachel.
Maybe like I don't know, like a train someone. Like they would have trained to like carve things, or like make pottery.
Perfect. That's exactly right. Those are people who do a wide variety of jobs and become experts at them. We have civilization here in America. I don't have to be a farmer. I have a garden, but I don't have to have one to survive. I show up here every morning at 6:45 and talk to you guys about history for 8 hours, and I go home and then I get a paycheck. I have a skill. I sell my skill for money, and then I can go buy stuff because I am a specialized worker. I've been trained to do this, and I am an expert. That is what specialization is. You guys might think you know everything, teenagers, but I don't know if you could do what I do. Just like I don't think I could go do brain surgery or make a rocket blast off in outer space. I don't know how to do that. I am not specialized. Or I don't think I could hand you a knife and a log and you turn it into a bowl. People could do that, and those were specialized workers. Now, in the Neolithic age, people that could do that, people that became artisans, they made jewelry and tools and weapons and pots, and they turned metals into alloys. They were artisans. Not everybody was dedicated to food production. And those people that were not doing food production could do other things. And that's the kind of things that they did in the Neolithic age, the New Stone Age. And as you can see by those photos, those are actual pieces of architecture, jewelry, coins, pots, produced by Neolithic artisans. Thousands of years old. I don't think I could create any of that today. I don't have those skills. But people that were trained, became experts, they could. So you got to have specialized workers in any civilization. Questions on that? A third thing. Do you guys need more time to write? A third thing that all civilizations must have are complex institutions. Can anybody take a guess as to what I mean here by a complex institution? Mackenzie. Okay, that's a building. I'm looking for an institution. Like a societal structure more than a architectural one. Yes, go ahead. Okay, you said what?
People who make laws.
All right, give me the term of a group of people that make laws.
Government.
The government. Government is a complex institution, without a doubt. Doesn't matter what kind of government it is, as long as there is a group of people who make laws and rules. Other people that do things that have to do with your belief system, look, what is that? Your beliefs. Religion. Government and religion. Those are the complex institutions we're looking for here. Your cities had to have these things. Government and religion. The type of government, the type of religion doesn't matter. As long as it exists, you can have a civilization. All right? So what is a government? Who can give me a definition of what government is? Do you guys have a government? What do? Make laws. To do what? Why make laws? Yeah, to govern our society, to make sure that we're not, just doing whatever we want and causing all kinds of problems. They keep order. Leaders keep order. That is the purpose of government in the Neolithic world. It might just be one guy in charge or one girl in charge, and they have ultimate authority, and everybody has to do what they say. Or it could be a small group of wealthy people, or it could be someone they see as a god. Whatever the form of government is fine, as long as it exists. All right? The other complex institution that civilizations must have is religion. What is religion? What is religion? Okay, it is a system of complex beliefs. And what was the purpose of religion in the ancient world? In the ancient world, what's the purpose of religion? Why have it? Why was it necessary for civilization to exist? All right, I'll ask you this today. Where does the sun go when it gets dark? Huh? The other side of the earth, right? How do you know that? Okay, science, studies, like we know the earth's round and it turns, and at the same time it's spinning, it's also moving around the orbit of the sun. We know that, right? Because we've had science class. How many science classes do they have? None. What about like when the river floods? What causes the rivers to flood? Like Greenbrier. What causes the Greenbrier to flood? Okay, extensive rains. Maybe here, maybe upriver. It could be raining really hard in, Durban or wherever, and then it flows into the Greenbrier County and it floods. We know that. They didn't. They don't know what causes these natural phenomena. Where does religion come in the ancient world? Okay, potentially if they have a leader that they see as a god, yep. They use religion to explain the workings and forces of nature. That's the entire purpose. Like, let's pray to the sun god because it's dark and we need him to come back to make the crops grow. We don't know where the sun's gone. We need it to come back. So let's do some stuff to make it come back. They don't know about rotations and stuff like that. Not yet. It's not too long. Ancient religion has to do with workings and forces of nature. Or, man, it's really pouring the rain. The gods must be really angry or sad or crying. Or the earth is quaking. Well, we know it's plate tectonics. That's what we know. They would say, man, I guess the giants in Mount Olympus are fighting. They don't understand how nature works. And so they use religion to explain the workings and forces of nature. Okay? Now, they did build temples for their religion. Temples were built, and they're called ziggurats. Ziggurats. And these ziggurats were located at the center of most cities. So what does that tell us about how they felt about their religion? Was it important? It's at the center of the city, so yes. Okay? So temples were built called ziggurats. All right? Fourth thing you got to have. You got to have record keeping. Record keeping. Also known as what? Writing stuff down. Writing stuff down. Like many of you should be doing. Writing stuff down. Record keeping. Okay, so record keeping is simply a system of writing. And it's important to be able to write stuff down, to document the laws the government makes, to see how much taxes the people need to pay, to monitor the grain supply, so that the religious leaders know what religious rituals have been done to keep the gods happy. Writing was essential for a lot of functions of civilization. Now, you all have the ability to read and write. That is not the case throughout much of ancient history. The ability to read and write was saved for only a few people. In fact, in the Neolithic and Paleolithic era, there was a term, it was a job, a person whose job it was to read and write. Do you know what that job was? What your profession is? What you said? My job is I am a scribe. Very good. Good job, Ethan. Scribes are people that know how to read and write. In our civilization, all of you guys are scribes. Kenzie, would you care to put your phone away? Because you're like, I don't know what
Yeah,
you're
I
doing.
was just taking pictures.
I'm going to put it on YouTube.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So scribes, they're people who can read and write. All right. So all of you guys would be scribes. All of you. Now, the very first ever system of writing ever invented, I have 3 pictures of it up here. Do you guys know what this is? It's the first system of writing. Can you recognize it?
Pictographs?
Good guess. This is called cuneiform. Cuneiform. C-U-N-E-I-F-O-R-M. Cuneiform. And it was created by scribes in Mesopotamia, the birthplace of civilization, the cradle of civilization, the first place all of these things came together. It was done by taking a piece of wet clay and then putting indentations into it with a stick or a stylus. And it created these wedge-like figures, these wedge shapes. That is cuneiform. And that is the first ever system of writing. And I cannot read it. Okay? So I don't know how to read that. But that's it. That's what it looks like. Those are thousands of years old, those clay tablets. All right? The 5th thing you got to have in order to have civilization: technology. Technology. Tools. And in the Neolithic age, new tools were invented like this. This is a plow. You can hook this part goes into the earth, and you put this on an animal, and you pull it, and it will plow through the earth, making it easier to plant your crops. So plows, irrigation. You guys know what this is? This one on the bottom right. It's a potter's wheel. You can sit at it, and you can spin the wheel with your feet. You know, just kind of spin it, push it around with your feet, and it spins the disc at the top, and you can shape your clay pots. It's a potter's wheel. All right? What's the one on the bottom left? It's just a regular wheel. The ability to move heavy things from one place to another gets a lot easier with the invention of the wheel. Not done by cavemen, okay? It was made during the Neolithic Revolution, during the Neolithic Age. And then this is jewelry at the top right. What metal is that made of? Good guess?
Metal.
What?
Metal.
It is made of metal. Which metal? Bronze. How do you make bronze? How do you make bronze? Well, you got to melt. What 2 metals make it? Bronze is not naturally found in nature. It is a man-made metal.
Iron?
Good guess.
Iron
silver, gold.
Good guess. Copper and tin. You mix copper and tin together, you get bronze. You don't just go out and say, hey, here's a bronze deposit in the earth. It is a man-made metal. You mix together copper and tin. How do you do that? Rub them together?
No.
You melt them. When you mix two or more metals together to create a new metal, it's called an alloy. Copper, it's a pretty good metal. Tin, it's okay. But you mix copper and tin together, bronze is far superior. It's much, much stronger than copper or tin alone. All right? Now, once humans have mastered the ability to make bronze, that puts an end to the Neolithic Age. And what begins? The Bronze Age. The Bronze Age begins. So we got the Paleolithic Age, Ice Age, Neolithic Age, Bronze Age. All right? Last slide. The Paleolithic people, the old Stone Age people, are also known for some of their art. This is art that is hundreds of thousands of years old. It's old. These particular works of art are found in caves. Paleolithic people, whenever they did art, the majority of their art was of animals. Why? Animals were essential to their survival. Absolutely essential. You see lots of animals, but you don't see very many people. And when you do, the people are just stick figures. But you see a drawing of an animal, I couldn't draw that. And this was made by a guy in a cave in the dark with some animal hair. That's very impressive. The animal drawings are very elaborate because they almost, the animals were sacred to them. They depended upon the animals for their survival. In the Paleolithic Age, they didn't depend on other people for survival. They also made necklaces, beads, sculptures, jewelry, things of that nature. Okay? Questions on this lesson? Okay, so your assignment for tomorrow when you're home is on Schoology. So feel free, you can submit at any time. And once you're done, you're good. And then I'll see you on Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday, you guys make sure you keep looking at Schoology because there'll be more lectures on there. There'll be more assignments on there. Make sure you can access the YouTube channel so you can see these videos. And if you have questions about anything, don't hesitate to contact me through Schoology or through email.